Okay, so today I've been making videos about men and male rights, and I came across this video about is modern feminism hurting men, and I don't know, just kind of wanted to react to it. I don't know what this video is really about, and so I'm just gonna react to it.
Are men trash?
Oh, cis heterosexual.
Damn. Hold on, let me rewind that back. And what the fuck? Cis heterosexual man. I don't know what cis is. I hear that word a lot. Alright.
Are men trash?
Oh, cis heterosexual men, absolutely, especially white men.
What rights do you think
Damn, she would hate men. I mean, she looked kind of like a lesbian.
that men have that women don't today?
A woman can still walk a street and not feel protected versus a man can. Women are probably...
Oh, hell nah. Hell nah. I'm gonna just tell you right now. This is actually relevant to something that just happened to me, yesterday. Yesterday I was walking down the street. I walked down the street in the hood. My truck broke down. So I walk a mile and a half to work and back every night. And I'm always on guard thinking that I'm gonna get mugged or something. And literally yesterday, two dudes I'm walking on one side of the street. They decided to come to my side of the street and walk right behind me, close the distance. And I felt something sketchy, right off the bat. So I turned around and I'm like, y'all could go ahead, and they just kind of like looked at me and was like, oh man, what's the problem? I'm like, I just don't like y'all, how y'all keep following me. Y'all cross the street and y'all getting close to me, He goes, oh, nothing, and then they just stood there for like a minute, like we're just looking at each other, and they're like mean mugging me, but they were like on something. Yeah, I could their face looked like they were loaded, and they just kept like just standing there. I'm like, well, go either keep going or stop following me, and they wouldn't move. And finally, I pulled out my pistol and said, hey, look, I don't know what the fuck you're planning on, but I'm about to cross the street. If you fucking follow me, I'm gonna fucking end your life. Don't fuck. You're fucking with the wrong one. We're in the fucking hood. It's fucking nighttime. I'm not playing these fucking games. Oh, bro, it ain't like that. It ain't like that. Put that piece away, bro. Put it. I'm like, nah. You're in the wrong neighborhood. It's that neighborhood. It's a high crime, high like homicide, robberies. It's the hood. So it's the hood at nighttime. But luckily, like across the street, and they just stay there looking at me the whole time. And then some girl walking her dog, she says that she also didn't feel safe because they were following her later on until I came along. So it's not just how she says they feel safe and we don't. Hey, look, I don't think anybody feels safe, honestly, when you're walking outside at nighttime, especially in the hood.
Probably like underrepresented.
Like it started off with great intent, but you have people who abuse the system.
A hatred of masculine energy.
It's like anti-mag.
Today I'm out here and I'm asking, is feminism still relevant in today's society?
Yeah, absolutely. If anything, it's more relevant now than it ever was.
Yeah, I would say feminism is still relevant today. We built this country, men, but women at the same time got to supply more men, right? With no women, the world doesn't go around.
If you look at like domestic abuse, for instance, we know that it happens to people of all genders, but it seems to be like disproportionately like affecting women.
Is feminism still relevant in today's society?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. They put up with a lot of bullshit. They put up with sexual harassment. They put up with a whole lot of bullshit that us men just don't have to deal with.
Of course, it's relevant throughout history. Women.
I mean, but guys have to deal with things too. So I don't know what he was talking about.
And discriminated against.
It is, but I think it's changed a lot. Feminism started out as women's rights, and now it has skewed into something entirely different than what it was.
Are we going too far? Do we do this and all the rest of that instead of being angry?
Now it's morphed into something that's more preaching like a superiority over men kind of stance. I
know I'm keep pausing. But yeah, the movement has changed. Like that one chick in the beginning that would just said white men are trash. You know, that's like really, I don't know, like harsh stance to have. You know.
I work with some people who would consider themselves heavy feminists, and they are constantly dogging on men, and they openly say, I hate men.
I would say that as long as men are alive.
Yes, like feminism has turned into, modern feminism has turned into I hate men, the I hate men movement.
Feminism is always going to be relevant
Why?
because men.
It's like today we're more polarized than ever before. And if men and women can't get along, it can only hurt society.
They consider us a hate group.
But in today's lack of nuance, is it considered sexist to even question the topic? And if I had to be honest with myself, could I do it without my own bias?
I also want to say, somebody said this, a comedian said this, a couple of them have said this, there's always the ugly chicks that are the feminists. And by looking at this, I mean, I have to sort of agree.
Yes, we gonna see. What rights do men have today that women don't?
Oh, let's go down the list. A woman can still walk a street and not feel protected versus
I already went over that.
a man can.
I think we all have equality when it comes to laws.
Men are able to walk out maybe in whatever they want to wear, or, you know, be able to stand strong
Bitch, look what you got on. You wear whatever you want to.
through societal pressure.
I feel like women take a lot of precautions just by being a woman themselves, you know.
Statistically, just going into like a corporate setting, if you look at how women are rated on performance review versus men, the language that's used, you know, assertive versus bossy, or kind of the dynamic of how individuals are interacting with the workplace, I do think that there are societal norms that place women at a disadvantage, absolutely.
I think it's so, for instance, for pregnancy, right? There's no law saying employers can't like fire you if you're pregnant, or like abortion, for instance. Like that's a law that like only affects women, right?
But don't you think that's just kind of explained by like biological differences?
So why does that justify making a law anyway that literally discriminates women?
When you're 85 years
Ah, crap,
old on
commercial.
your deathbed, you're not going to wish you had fewer crazy stories. So let me introduce you to the school.
And so biological differences lead to different treatments and reality. And so I wanted to take a different view on this topic of equality.
I mean, government jobs, you don't get fired or anything if you have, if you get pregnant, and you also get maternity leave, I think, or time off. At least I think you did in the Army. I'm not sure if that's with all government jobs, but I think it is a thing.
You think today that women have certain privileges that men don't have?
Yeah.
And then also, if you get pregnant, like in the Army, you don't gotta deploy. So there's that. I talked about that in my Women in the Military video.
Part of that goes into being able to say certain things that, you know, men would get scolded for.
They can just talk completely out of their ass freely. You're not allowed to say nothing back.
Do you think, let's say, like, do men have problems that, let's say, that women don't experience? For example, in statistics, like, men have higher rates of suicide, and, you know, obviously men die more when it comes to, like, wars.
Women can go to war.
Yeah, but how about, like,
Go to war.
it's true. Who's overwhelmingly going to war and dying in wars?
Men. I'm not gonna argue that.
I mean, I feel like the war thing is a little hard to get into just because for the majority, men are going to war. It's not really women going to war, so of course more men die.
Why do you think that is?
I feel like that's just because it's kind of like the roles that society portrayed forever ago. Men are warriors and men are the ones that are fighting them.
And we're also the ones doing the crappy jobs that nobody wants to do.
Women.
Do you think more women should go into war, then?
Absolutely not. No woman should ever go into any military.
But wouldn't that
Oh no, I disagree.
be going against equality if you're barring women from going in the military, then?
Well, I'm not saying barring, but I'm saying like I feel like as a woman you should know that you're not going to be putting yourself in a healthy situation going into the military because like it's harder to be a woman in the military than it is to be a man.
I think that feminism is also, it's almost an excuse for behavior, flashing your tits or something like that, you know, behaviors like that. Like if a guy would have pulled just his balls out, you know, it would be a little less socially accepted for sure. So.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you think in this sense that men have...
Actually, I'm probably in the minority that I'm okay with a woman taking her shirt off, just like a guy could take his shirt off in public. That I'm with the free the nipple movement to an extent. Like obviously I don't want to see in certain situations like I don't know if I'm eating or something and I don't want to see people's naked bodies, but like at the beach or somewhere where it's appropriate to not wear a shirt, I'm with that and that being equal.
Less privileged today than women?
Privilege is all kind of like how you look at it, what you're looking for. I think I'm pretty privileged. A lot of black people probably gonna say they're privileged, so that's kind of how I look at it. We need to just stop looking and thinking everybody got greener grass and kind of just accept the fact we're not in a third world country, you know, with Russia invading us or some bullshit, you know what I mean? Like, life ain't that bad. It's 70, sunny out, chill the fuck out.
And you're high as shit right now, aren't you?
I'm cooked. Thank you.
Now, I don't know what to exactly make of what I'm about to explain to you next, but it may explain what's happening with society today. An experiment called Universe 25 created a mice paradise with an abundance of food and water. The aim was to study behavior over a time period in an attempt to explain human societies. It was all good, but after 315 days, something unexpected happened. The population reached 600 and a hierarchy was formed with larger rodents starting to attack and cause male rodents to collapse psychologically.
Under those conditions, social behavior broke down.
This led to a new class of males called beautiful males who only care for food and sleep, and isolated aggressive females who didn't want to reproduce. And eventually, society collapsed because of lack of reproduction, lack of care for their young. And the scary part is that after repeating this experiment 25 times, the same results were observed over and over again. A viral Facebook post drew parallels to today's society with weak feminized men with no protection instincts and overly aggressive females with no maternal instincts.
We need to kill all men.
It's a bit of a stretch, but is it possible that that's what's happening in the West today? Is the negative reaction of feminism coming from the fact that not only are women struggling, but also men? Let's take a closer look, see what this really means. May I ask you, like, what are some, like, examples of misogyny that you faced?
Oh, let's see. I went through there's one time,
I'm just gonna say this bitch is annoying. I think it ain't cause she's a female. She just. I mean, if this was a dude, that whole, oh, you know, let me just tell you, it's I don't know, it's kind of annoying. It has nothing to do with her being a female.
Not only are women struggling, but also men. Let's take a closer look, see what this really means. May I ask you, like, what are some, like, examples of misogyny that you faced?
Oh, let's see. I went through there's one time, I'm a psychology major. We were tasked with counting how many times we got catcalled. I realized every time during that month.
Ain't no one catcalling your ass.
I went to a gas station at nighttime. I got catcalled.
I've seen some of my guy friends literally make 30 grand more than some of my girlfriends, and just because they're men.
But let's say that the pay
I call BS. Maybe they're making more because of different jobs.
gap does exist. Why wouldn't firms just hire women then?
They have to find probably quotas at this point.
Do you think there's quotas for men?
No, probably not. There's a lot more men in power, the top 1%. A lot of the women are the ones left in the dust.
There's definitely, like, in the top 1%, I think there's definitely more men, for sure. But let's say, like, in the bottom, right? Like, most suicides are men. You know, most people with depression are men. Do we sometimes ignore that to maybe showcase disparities where it might not exist?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I'll talk about that too. I didn't even think about talking about depression or suicide amongst men, so that'll be another topic.
Men do have a disadvantage at that point.
So is it fair to say then that both genders at this point maybe have disadvantages in certain situations, but when it comes to the law, they're pretty equal and even opportunity?
Yes, it does have that societal influence more from a social standpoint. It's not necessarily what is placed in the law, but it has everything to do with how people interpret the law and for themselves. With women, it's you have to jump through all these barriers in order to even be elected in office.
However, I did hear though, like, for every male college grad, there's 2 women college grads. And I believe most college students are actually women. So I guess what would you say to that?
I know that women are probably like underrepresented in like the military or in trade school, so men might find more interest in doing that instead of like getting a bachelor's. So like that's like a whole career path that like women really aren't being encouraged to do as much.
I mean, I guess would you say that there's probably different interests in general between the genders?
Now there's like much more of a push to get women to STEM, so there's like more of that. when I was younger, there wasn't really that going on.
So it does raise the question, does feminism account for the advancements made, or will they have happened regardless? And if so, is feminism more important than ever to preserve progress and also to prevent regression towards inequality?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it should remain. Originally, it's not a toxic thing. Again, what modern society has morphed it into, especially things like social media, it has turned it into more of a superiority kind of cloak than it is actually pushing equal rights.
So it did make me think, are we at a point now where there's actually male inequality in the West? And in a video titled exactly that seems to be the case.
My latest book is Of Boys and Men, Why the Modern Male is Struggling and
I'm gonna have to do a reaction to that video.
what to do about it.
But is he just one of those red pill, misogynistic, cisgendered anti-feminists? What he found through his research is that women are leaving men behind in advanced metrics like education and the workforce. In the 70s, Title IX was implemented to close a 13% gap in college degrees between men and women, but now there's a 15% gap in favor of women with degrees. And so today, there's evidence that there's inequality on both sides. And as feminism has pushed more representation for women, then not seeing similar efforts for men in female-dominated professions like heal or health, education, administration, and literacy. And with blue-collar jobs disappearing, men need jobs. And the thing is availability. For every one STEM job, there's 3 heal jobs. But currently, only 26 of those positions are filled by men, whereas 27% of STEM positions are filled by women. So the more controversial a topic, the more we need to look at the nuance. But today, are we even able to, or even want a discussion in the first place? Are men trash?
Cis, heterosexual men, absolutely, especially white men.
Weren't you just talking about equality?
Oh, absolutely. But we have to have that viewpoint because of how much we've been attacked just by that gender.
But you just said that all straight men are trash. Like, that's a pretty picture line.
Yeah, see?
Don't you think?
It definitely is. It's not necessarily something I'm gonna saying via statistics. I'm saying via experience.
Are men trash?
No, I like my dad. He's not trash, so most men are trash.
I don't think men are trash. Men just have more advantages. But like I said, I wouldn't want to be on the front lines of
Men have more advantages. I call bullshit right there. Fucking I can name like I'm just gonna top of my head. Fucking if a ship is sinking, who's getting on the life raft? Children and women first, right? If there's a war and there's a draft, who's getting sent? Mainly men. If there's a job opening and you got a dude and a chick, let's say in a restaurant business or in a bar industry or something in the service industry, who would more likely get hired? I would argue that a woman would get a job way faster than a guy, just because of simple marketing. If a woman needs help, how many people are there to help her versus a guy needing help? And I mean anything, like with anything in life, dating wise, who has it easier? I mean, the list goes on and on, so I don't want to hear this bullshit.
Some army.
Feminism goes out the window, right?
That it 100% does.
So I wanted to ask the same, but the reverse. Are women trash then?
No, I don't think anyone's trash. I like people. I think that there are some people that have had really bad hands, but in general, I would like to think that most people are good.
What would happen if we said that women are trash?
I say it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think they're trash too.
I thought you're a feminist.
I'm not a feminist, no. Maybe a little misogynistic. No, I'm just kidding.
All kidding aside.
See, but I am a feminist. I'm not what they define as feminist. I'm a feminist, and I don't know if there's a manism, or I'm just for rights for people, and I don't want to say equality, but I am for more rights, depending on certain circumstances, especially when the rights are being violated because of a religion or cultural, and it's not with the times anymore. Like you see women being in certain countries saying they can't drive vehicles, or they have to be all covered up, or stuff like that. I'm a feminist in saying that I'm against all that.
Discussion, there needs to be mutual respect. And And if equality truly is the goal, do they mean that in all aspects? Why do you think women are allowed to say that men are trash, but men can't say that women are trash?
Because, I mean, just based off of
I would disagree. Anybody's allowed to call anybody trash. I don't know what you're talking about.
history, you know, men have been the dominant sex. I mean, not even really 100 years ago, women were more of an obtained piece of property.
Sometimes women are trash. But I think more men than women for sure.
It's one of the many double standards.
That's because of what feminism has turned into. It's no longer about the equality of men and women, it is more the differences between men and women.
And in recent times, that history of inequality.
I had to do a double look, man. That one chick had fucking, I don't know, shits in a plastic surgery.
Has been exposed in no other place than Hollywood.
With Hollywood's sex abuse scandal growing by the day, Me Too movement.
Me too, me too, me too.
The Me Too movement in 2017 raised awareness to numerous stories of sexual abuse of women in the workplace. Not only was the movement successful in exposing individuals like Harvey Weinstein, it even had an impact on public policy through the passage of the laws to prevent harassment in the workplace. But like anything, the pendulum swings both ways. Despite its success, the Me Too movement promoted extreme slogans such as "Believe all women," and along with it created a climate of fear where innocent men were unfairly accused and reputations destroyed.
Did Johnny brutalize you? Ever?
And the most notable was the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, where Heard wrote an op-ed alleging that she was a victim of abuse. And it wasn't until
I bet you didn't know
No.
In North Gaza, after the conflict, some families are so hungry.
4 years after getting canceled from everything, when Depp won the defamation trial for the false allegations. Do you think that in a certain way Me Too movement also went too far?
It started off with great intent, and it's designed to have great intent, but you have people who abuse the system and people who take advantage of it, and they see a payday or a time for...
Oh, and that's another thing women have over men is the Believe All Woman movement. It's like women have this thing where a lot of people just believe them because they're a woman or they play the victim card.
And it ruins it for the real people out here who are actually victims.
Me Too is for true survivors.
It's a clusterfuck of bullshit.
It is the unfortunate reality that any overcorrection swings back just as strongly in the opposite direction. And so is this what's happening in modern feminism in the West today? And if so, how can we correct this overcorrection before it's too late?
The best way that I can learn from you is by sitting down and listening to you and really trying to understand, seeking to understand where you come from and learning from that dynamic and that dialogue.
I say conversations like this, right? Absolutely.
I think that we need to get rid of terms like feminism. Feminism is more of like a suppression of masculine energy, essentially. Getting rid of that sense of like dominance of one over the other would be the better society to exist in.
Because if negative attention wasn't enough, it's now becoming harder to be effective.
And I'm gonna say this about feminism is they're really quiet when it comes to female rights in other parts of the world, you know, where like it's out there in the open that women are being oppressed. Like I mentioned, like Middle Eastern countries or countries like that are heavily Muslim, where they just oppress women, just have them, you know, they don't have the same rights. How come they're not as vocal on those issues? You know, and that is, I get it, they're in different countries, but that should be like a thing that should always be brought up, you know? Because again, the same liberals, or I want to say liberals, because these same people, they were like, well, I want to focus more on issues here in the United States. All right, how do you feel about the war in Israel, Israel and Gaza? Probably really vocal on that. All right, then if you want to be vocal on world issues, keep it going, or don't, you know.
Feminist, even if you're a feminist. For years, the author of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, identified as a feminist who advocated for women's rights, whether it be speaking out or through donations or advocacy. But in 2020, it was as if none of that mattered anymore. After expressing concern on Twitter of what constitutes a woman, she was berated by activists as misogynistic and most notably
What the fuck is a TERF? I gotta look up these words, man. Like I said, I just found out a while back what incel was.
TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminine.
What the fuck? Trans exclusionary radical feminist. I still don't even know what that means. Trans exclusionary radical feminist.
And is an acronym used by trans activists to describe someone as transphobic for believing that gender is based on biological sex. Due to this, Rowling has faced strong criticism to a point where it has impacted her legacy. The new video game Hogwarts Legacy is labeled so controversial to a point where Twitch streamers are refusing to play it for fear of being called transphobic. And similarly, it's this extremism masked as inclusion that's dividing the feminist movement from within and confusing the original message of equality for all. Would you say you're a feminist yourself?
Absolutely. I wouldn't say I'm not a feminist. I just think that like the word feminism needs to be redefined.
What should it be called?
I don't know. Seeking truth and justice and equality. I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with the definition. It's just these modern day people want to change it up. It's all about female rights. You know, keep it simple.
The men are a trash group.
No, men are not trash.
And so if women are hesitating to identify with the movement, it's likely due to the impact of the extreme. Because if equality is achieved through bringing others down, it's creating issues where none exist, perpetuating double standards. But with that said, feminism is needed. While true equality may be difficult to achieve and some may not actually desire it, nothing significant ever came about through indifference. The pendulum is ever swinging, and we need individuals who push for progress and serve as a check to maintain balance. But today, how can we even navigate differences if we can't even question the nuance? I guess it's up to me to lead the way, and it all starts with exploring the unfamiliar. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more content where I turn street interviews into investigative journalism. And if you do,
I might do something like that. If I get enough subscribers, I might do some street interviews on all these topics that I cover. But I need my subscribers, so let me know too if that's something you might want to see in from my videos is in-person interviews. There's I live in a touristy town, so lots of foot traffic. All right, so that's the end of the video. What are your thoughts? Are men trash? Are they not? And what are your thoughts on feminism? Like me, like I said, I'm a feminist in by my definition, or the definition that's in the dictionary, the real definition, you know, about female rights, and I put that globally, you know, because in some places in the world, women are being oppressed. All right. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on everything that I covered today.